Welcome to the Gals Guide to the Galaxy podcast, where a group of gals gather for you one cool thing around our topic of the month. Is it ancient history? Is it breaking news? Is it safe for work? Well, that's up to each gal. All we know is that...
Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
It is a new month and a new theme at the Gals Guide Library, and this month we are celebrating the written word that has enriched us with powerful metaphors, musical rhythms, and vivid imagery. We're embracing National Poetry Month and shining a spotlight on poetry gals. So let me introduce you to my fab gals who have joined us for this poetic journey. So first up, she may be only one class away, but I don't care, because I'm calling her Gals Guide's head librarian. It is Bonnie Phillenworth, ladies and gentlemen. Woo! So, Bonnie, introduce yourself to the good people.
My name's Bonnie Phillenworth. I'm a visual artist who does paintings of women throughout history. And I just signed up for my last class for my master's degree.
Nice.
Which one did you decide on?
I did the resources for people with disabilities.
Oh, sweet. Look at that.
I love that, Bonnie.
Go what you feel. And yeah, I'm like, there you go.
100% supported.
Lean on that Katie on that one, too. That's going to be awesome. You'll be our head librarian. Yay! So next up, it is El Presidente of Gals Guide. It's Katie Young, ladies and gentlemen. Yay! Katie, introduce your good self to the people.
I am Katie Young, president of Gals Guide.
There's an echo. I think there's an echo in here.
End of fabulous list.
Right, that's all you need to know. I guess fabulous head baker.
Yes.
I'm finding my groove again with that baking. So
Thank goodness.
we got peanut butter cookies tonight.
Yes,
Yummy.
we do. And
They
we
were
had-
warm. They were warm when they showed up. That was fantastic.
And bourbon cupcakes a few days ago.
Yes, for our dear Leo's birthday.
I'm just going to be dreaming about those for a year. And next up is our Director of Community Outreach, also the poetess, multi-award-winning author. It's Barb Conlin, ladies and gentlemen. Woo!
Thank you.
So, Barb, introduce the good people. Introduce yourself to the good people. Those are words.
Yes.
Here are the
and
good
those
people.
words are actually in the right order. Barb Conlin, Director of Community Outreach, as she said. This is my second podcast.
Oh, look at that.
I had a lot of fun the last time. I thought I was going to get sick, but I didn't. And it was fun, and I'm back. I have wine and cookies, and it's a good day.
Yay! I'm so glad you came back. It's tons of fun. As for me, I am Dr. Leah Leach, and I am the founder and executive director of Gals Guide, and I have an allergy to lilies. So if my voice sounds different and a little bit snotty, it's because I can't handle the excessive beauty of a certain flower. But don't worry, I will get over it until the surprise lilies bloom in August. Woohoo! So before
Your surprise allergies.
surprise, the damn lilies.
I know. Remember when you used to bring them into your house before you knew?
Because they grew in my yard.
I know. That was a mess. I remember those years, dark years.
All of them?
Why did I
or
get
is
sick
it
every time?
The Asiatic or the Oriental? Like, do you know if it's like one or the other?
I know it's the ones that are in spring that are yellow. And then I know it's the surprise lilies that are either orange or pink in like August-ish. Yeah.
Dig in, Bonnie.
They attack my face.
Well, there's ones that are supposed to be like
Yeah.
really stinky. Like some people, like like some people can't
That's
stand the taste of cilantro.
Oh.
Some people can't stand the smell of lily.
That's
Well,
the surprise lilies,
one of
too.
them.
I do
I
smell
feel like I've
them.
smelled that,
and I
yeah.
freak out a little bit only because the danger is in my face.
Also, I think we should plug that Bonnie has a new YouTube channel.
Yes,
very nice.
For anybody
exactly.
thinking about doing some planting and growing, because we are almost to spring.
I know.
Yes.
It
How
is
is the best
officially
way to
spring.
find your channel, Bon Bon?
It's Circle City Seeds.
Circle
on
City
YouTube.
Oh, we'll
I
put a
finally
link
did it.
in the show notes so you can hear
I've
more
only
of
been-
Bonnie's
I've
beautiful
only
voice.
been like talking about it and filming stuff for like a year.
It's all good. But now it's out there.
Maybe you've been a tad busy.
Yes.
A little bit.
You know, working, mastering, all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff.
Getting ready for a wedding.
Exactly. Weddings, all the good stuff.
Yes.
Well, do you guys want to know, before we get to our one cool gal that Bonnie's going to share with us, do you guys want to know what's happening in the library this week?
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Sweet. So, for April 3rd through the 9th, on Wednesday, April 5th, Writers Galaxy Space is open for our writers to drop in and be writerly starting at 4:30. In-person and online options. Register at galsguide.org. On Friday, April 7th, we are open late because it is First Friday Fun, so join us from 12 to 9. We're going to have poetry readings and fairy crafts in the library. There's also beer, wine, and music on campus, so it is the perfect time to come visit us.
Absolutely.
On Saturday, we have 2 events. The first one is at 9 a.m. It is our walking club. Hopefully the weather will be nice.
I hope so. It's been a while since there's been a nice day for it.
So all we can do is just rain in this particular case, but it shouldn't snow, knocking on some kind of wood.
I looked at the forecast.
You're like, but maybe.
Right.
April showers should be the only thing that would rain on our parade. See what I did there?
Yes, yes.
Then at 10 a.m., we have our Tara Circle, and we are in a book study, and it's getting really close to our next book study, so you can vote on our next series if you register at galsguide.org, and you can get all the links. So for more information and all of our beautiful calendar updates, go to galsguide.org and click on that calendar, because now, the best question of all, Bonnie, are you ready to go first?
I got
Eating a cookie.
Bonnie does have a peanut butter cookie in her face.
So can I ask a question?
Yes.
So is there an event coming up at Indie Reads?
There is an event at Indie Reads, which is on April 2nd, and it's from 2 to 4 p.m. We're going to be doing readings and signings of the newest anthology. Nice. Yes, exactly.
Good call, Barb.
Woot.
That's why she's the director of community outreach.
It was high on my list.
It's
Yeah.
in that job
Barb
description.
setting him up, Leah knocking him down, Bonnie finishing her cookie.
And then Bonnie finishes
I'm like
the
a
cookie.
sportscaster of Gal's
Thank you for the
Guide.
color commentator.
Yeah.
It all works
She's
lovely.
almost ready.
Trey's always watching all those sports, and I'm just always like, they ask the dumbest questions. They get the dumbest answers.
Right?
Yes, they do.
Well, I have a question, Bonnie.
Just fill in time.
How did that cookie taste?
It was delightful.
Oh, good. Good.
Did you poison the cookies, Katie?
I don't know. I just put
just
some
say it with the
vanilla
tone.
sugar on top, so I was hoping everybody would be like, there's something special.
Oh, look at that. Thank you, Katie.
I have not had a warm cookie in a very long time because I do not bake. So the fact that it was warm was just extra special. Extra special to me.
Look at that.
I have to show you guys the cake wreck that Jonah and I made this week when we tried to bake out of the Star Wars cookbook, and I blame Star Wars.
Star Wars got you again, didn't
That
it?
wasn't a tauntaun cake, was it?
No, it was a dark side lava cake, and the Sith had its revenge.
Oh,
I will
no.
show you the picture later.
But I love that you know that reference.
I started saying that was very.
It's very good.
That was very good from the
Yeah.
non-Star Wars gal.
Super proud.
But guess what? We stalled for Bonnie, and she's ready.
And,
I can tell.
What do you got for us, Bon
I
Bon?
feel like we could get Katie to watch The Mandalorian. Like, that's like...
Maybe.
You couldn't.
She's already like, no.
Pascal. I mean, come on.
Oh, I do love him. I watched The Last of Us.
And
See?
the baby,
It was good.
the baby Yoda.
Baby Yoda's
Yeah.
adorable.
I don't feel that way.
Okay.
Well, we'll
I
just
like
have to get her really drunk and tie her down.
Puppies.
Dun, dun, dun. Who do you have for us, darling?
I have Phillis Wheatley.
Oh, yay!
Nice. I thought about doing her too. Were you inspired by this month's book club pick?
No, but like
Okay.
I was wondering later when she marries. I was like, did she marry a white man? Like I was like,
Oh, no, she's mentioned in our book club pick.
Oh.
The Personal Librarian. They talk about how J.P. Morgan had an anthology of her poetry in his collection.
Oh.
Very
So
nice.
I was like, ooh, maybe I'll do her. And then I saw the Discord and I was like, oh, Bonnie's got her. But good, because I can't wait to hear more about her.
Fantastic.
Sweet.
Okay, so a young girl who will be known later as Phillis Wheatley. We don't know what her born name was because she was born in Africa, and what we think is about 1761.
Gotcha.
She was unfortunately kidnapped for the slave trade, And the ship that she arrived on was called the Charming Phillis.
Well, doesn't that sound delightful?
Is that where her name comes
That's
from?
where her
It
name
is.
comes
Oh my
from.
goodness. Wow.
But it sounds like you'd want to go on that ship.
It's a trap.
It's a trap.
Yeah.
No, they were sent there to get, bring back 100 some. They wanted young men because they're, the highest price.
Sure.
And they think that maybe they just picked her up because, they were near the end of their rounds and hadn't met their quota. So, because they were surprised that they picked up a young girl at all. Because
Gotcha.
it's
Yeah, because she was 7 or 8?
they
Something
think
like
she was
that?
about 7 because she
Oh
was
my
missing some of her
gosh.
front teeth.
Oh
Okay.
my goodness.
But they don't really know.
Aw.
I think I need more wine.
Yeah, definitely.
Nope.
Cookies will help.
Nope. But yeah, the slave trader dude sold her to Susanna Wheatley
Mhm.
because he thought that he wouldn't be able to sell her at all. So he figured he could make, something's better than nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, Susanna wanted to purchase a girl to help her when she got older.
Oh, good.
So I don't want to hear anything about the people who, when you tell them you don't want to have kids, they're like, but don't you want someone to take care of you when you get older?
No. Oh, goodness.
But Susanna already had kids.
Oh, well, what was wrong with those ones?
She had, I think, a set of twins, and then I think at least one other kid.
Were they boys? Because they back in the
Married
day,
off and
they
take care of another family.
I think I want to say it was 2 boys and a girl. I think the twins were a boy and a girl. I think.
Okay.
But yeah, they were about to leave the house, so I think her recipe for empty nest
Oh my-
syndrome was to go
buy
purchase
a child.
No, you don't. No.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, that's definitely our reaction, but probably a super
It was common, I'm
common
sure.
thing at the
Yeah, at
time.
the time.
But yeah,
Exactly.
they think that Susanna had lost a child who was about her age when she died. So I think a lot of it was you see a child that's about her age, of a daughter she
Sure.
lost. But still, buying people.
She treated her real well, didn't she? Oh, really?
Oh,
Oh, goodness.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
But yeah, they were a very wealthy family who already had several slaves and servants.
Oh, no.
And little Phyllis was treated differently than the other slaves and servants. She was given her own room,
Okay.
and she wasn't allowed to talk to the other slaves.
Oh, that's great. No friends for you.
After noticing her play with chalk, she was writing,
Yeah.
and they weren't really sure if it was maybe her own native language
Right,
that
right.
nobody
no.
knew, bothered to learn, didn't
Right.
care, or if it was just, kiddo.
Yeah, drawn
Marks.
scribbles. Yep.
She was taught to read and write and excelled at it. After 16 months, she was able to read, write, and understand the Bible.
Oh, my goodness.
Boom.
That's a smart cookie.
I can't even understand the Bible.
Yeah, no, that's
It's,
true. Understand? I'm using finger quotes in a podcast.
And this is at a time when many white women were not literate.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Ah.
She was allowed to socialize with the white folks when they came over.
Oh.
She sat at the same table with them when they were at her house. When she
Okay.
went to other people's houses,
Not so much.
she sat at the kiddie table kind of a thing. But when they came to her house, she sat at the table, and probably did little to no housework,
Oh, okay.
which is weird because she bought her
Right.
to help take care of her. So you would think she'd be kind of raising her as a nurse,
Right, yeah.
but she didn't.
But she was a
Didn't know it.
reading and writing master.
I don't know. She seems like she's more of a pet.
Oh, no.
It's
That's worse.
It's all
Kinda
bad.
weird.
It's all bad stuff.
Oh, no.
But yeah, there's questions about how she was really treated by the family. Yeah, they're well off, and she doesn't have to go pick in the field.
Sure.
But were they, like, showing her off to their friends as kind of like a sideshow oddity thing? Like,
Right.
look at this intelligent black person. Like,
Right.
it's kind
Yes.
of weird.
Oh, no. Run away, Phyllis!
It's good to know this background, though, because it explains a lot about her poetry.
Yeah.
Like, I started to look into and read some of her
Mhm.
poems, and it's, yeah, I know Bonnie will get there, but...
Yeah. I didn't write down any of the lines specifically, but yeah. Yeah, and then it's also her family was so wealthy that they could afford to purchase a slave who did no labor.
Ah.
So it was kind of like,
So is
are
that
you
like showing off?
off?
Yeah, okay, it's showing off. Oh, great.
Well, they also made it sound like it was a really progressive family, but how progressive are you when you're still buying people?
Yeah.
Right.
And they
Right.
still had other slaves.
Right.
But this one is special. It is weird.
I'm not a fan of the story.
I don't know. Like, I'm sure at the time they thought they were being good.
Sure. That
But
version of it, as history will say, nope.
But Susan, her mother,
Right, yes.
her mother owner,
Yeah.
got the idea to publish 28 of her poems into a
Oh.
book. They could not get the 300. They had to, back then, to get the press to print them. They basically had to have pre-orders,
Okay.
and they needed like 300 of them for the U.S. So they ended up going to a publisher in London, who wanted proof that the poems were made by a slave.
Oh my goodness.
Because they're not human beings.
Oh no.
So they had to have people that they know sign like statements that yes, this person is a slave and they
Right.
wrote these poems. And they also
Goodness.
wanted a portrait to include in the book,
Right.
which is the only portrait we have of her in her lifetime.
Okay.
And it's
Gotcha.
that one picture that's always shown with her.
Gotcha.
Um,
But at least we know what she looks like.
yeah, and her
Yeah.
mother was always like raving, like she had a copy made of it to hang above her fireplace, and she was
Oh.
always talking about how it looked so much like her.
Oh.
So we think it's an accurate depiction of her,
Okay.
but it's the only one created in her lifetime, and it was created, they're pretty sure, by another slave.
Oh.
Well, she's really very pretty, right?
Yeah.
Because I've seen the photo. Very beautiful
Mhm.
young woman.
Very true.
You know, because that sells books. too.
Right.
But
that
Yes,
was-
yes.
absolutely.
That was part of why they wanted the portrait in the book, because
Mhm.
that was like the whole thing. It wasn't so much like they weren't like super awesome poems, but they were really great poems for a black person.
Right.
Like it was like it was like a
Yeah.
whole thing.
One
Had a
step
bad
forward,
vibe.
2 steps back.
But at 19, she traveled to London with her stepbrother owner.
Okay.
You're hurting Barb's head.
I know, right?
But she traveled to London, which at this time was around the time that London was passing laws about, like, if escaped slaves made it there, you could not force them to go back.
Ooh.
And she's 19. She could have
Yeah.
emancipated herself while she was
Oh.
in London
Yeah.
if she had wanted to.
Yeah.
And she could have just stayed in London.
Right.
Too.
But did she know? Did she know that that was an option? Or
I'm sure she did.
Okay.
Because, you're hanging out with the wealthy people, and this is during the American Revolution. Well, all these talks about, like, freedom, and she's in London, high society stuff. So
Mhm.
I'm sure that she knew.
And she's highly educated, so yeah.
Yeah, she's a smart cookie. And
Seems
her...
like she felt a real attachment to that family, even though she was basically their pet.
I mean,
And
somebody they
gaslighting's a
exploited.
thing. Yeah.
Right, in a weird way. I mean, if
Yeah.
she looked at what her other options might have been at the time,
Mm-hmm.
she probably was appreciative.
The thing you know versus
Yeah,
a
right.
world
she
you
was
don't
7
know. Yeah.
ish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's
Yeah.
really...
A baby.
All she knew.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was in London where she met Ben Franklin.
Oh!
Over there doing his partying thing.
Old Benny.
Sweet. All about the Benjamins.
Yeah. And she met the mayor of London, who gave her a rare book as a gift. It was like the first printing of another author that she really liked.
Oh, nice.
It's fabulous.
And they still, I think it's Harvard Library has that book that was gifted to her.
Oh, wow.
But she returned to the U.S. after getting word that her mother was ill.
Okay.
But there's some stipulations about this. They're like, okay, the time it took for a letter to cross overseas would have taken longer.
Right.
So they think that it was maybe like an excuse of her to like excuse herself and go back home.
Right.
But pretty soon after she got home, her owners freed her.
Oh.
And then she like almost immediately writes a poem, and it's worded like they're talking about, you know, it's the American Revolution, they're talking about freedom, and like if you didn't know who wrote it,
Yeah.
it would just look like that. But
Right.
since she's an African American woman,
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of, it sounds like when you're looking at it later, like the hypocrisy of you wanting all this freedom for people and yet
Right.
you're enslaving people.
Right.
So it's kind of like a double meaning thing there.
Interesting. That's what's really good about poetry.
Yep.
The double meanings. Yes. Triples. Yes.
And then a little while after she got back, Savannah died.
Gotcha. Wait, who's Savannah?
Her
The mother.
Oh, okay. All right, gotcha.
Her mother owner.
Right, gotcha.
I guess mother former owner at this point.
Sure, right.
Ex-owner.
Mother dearest? Is that kind of a fair? Maybe. All right, yeah.
And then Phyllis actually wrote to George Washington
Ah,
and sent him like a poem about like how awesome he is.
nice.
And he eventually wrote back,
Hey,
Well, there
even
you
though he
go.
was a very busy man in 1776.
a little bit. I mean, I thought he had this whole like new job and everything.
Yeah.
New country.
Plus a couple
New
of war.
job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he pretty
Sure.
much wrote back. It was pretty much like, oh, your poem's so amazing, but I can't put it in the paper because then people will think I'm vain. So,
Okay.
so I think he sent it to a friend.
Who put it
Can-
in the
But
paper,
he
right?
also told him, oh, I can't put this in the paper.
But can you please
So,
spread
I
this
think he
because
did.
I look really good in this poem, y'all.
Oh, dear Lord.
Wow.
And then he also, in his letter back, invited her to come visit. And some people think that she did, and some people think that she didn't. But it sounds
Gotcha.
like she did visit him.
Ah.
And then eventually, Mr. Wheatley died. I didn't even write down his name.
Gotcha.
And he left nothing to her in his will.
Oh my gosh.
So for that whole line of, do you own her or do you consider her a daughter? And he leaves her nothing.
Right. Well, that's answered then.
When
now,
you're
isn't it?
super wealthy.
Yeah.
Well, and she's
Cool.
still super young, right? Because he died shortly after mother owner.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
It makes my brain hurt, but I feel like I have to say it.
I know,
It's so
right? You don't want to.
ridiculous.
Yeah. So probably in
So
her
she's
20s.
very young and on her own.
Gotcha. Oh
Yeah.
man.
Early 20s.
But she's friends with, Benjamin Franklin and,
And
George
George
Washington.
Washington.
So
That should do
she's got
something
it.
for you.
As long as you
Spoiler,
don't mess
it
with
sure
that
doesn't,
Hamilton
but-
guy.
Yeah.
I like Bonnie go.
Oh no.
No, but since, she's now, she's got nothing.
Right.
So what
Yeah.
does a girl do?
Yeah.
But get married!
Okay.
To
Yeah.
a dude. Oh, I didn't even write down. I think it was like John. It's John.
Everybody was John then.
John Jacob Jingleheimer Smith.
I
His name is my name too.
want to say it's Phillips. But they.
Sweet.
And there's all kinds of talks about this. He was a African man. He was a former slave.
Gotcha.
But like a lot of people were like, oh, he was just like lazy and weird. And they kept talking about how he had like 8 different jobs. Like at one point he was saying he was a doctor and a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
But this was at the time there wasn't really like law school.
Right.
Like there really wasn't any certification that he could have
Anybody
gotten
could be a
anyway.
lawyer.
Mm-hmm. Right. Exactly.
But he tried to be a grocer. He tried to open up like a liquor store. It seemed like he was like a jack of all trades. But at the same time,
trying to make a living, yeah.
But at the same time, they talk about her dad owner in the same way, that he had like 20 things that he was doing. Like he ran a dock and all this stuff. But he's lazy. It's like, it sounds like he's doing quite a bit.
He's quite busy, it sounds like. So that would be the opposite of lazy?
I don't. It was weird. I thought it was weird how they talked about those two different men in two different ways.
Double standards.
They ended up having, they think, at least 2 children.
Okay.
But I think one died. I think one died either like right after birth or was a stillborn, and the second one maybe only lived a couple months.
Oh no!
Before that one died.
Yeah.
And she was working on getting a second book of poetry to get ready to publish, and Ben Franklin wrote the like introduction dedication thing for her.
See, they were besties.
Yep.
I knew it.
Yeah.
Hanging out.
But then in 1784,
Yeah.
she ended up living at a boarding house
because
her husband was in debtor's prison.
Oh, no.
Oh, my gosh.
And she ended up dying from pregnancy complications with her third kid.
Oh, no.
Who they're pretty sure died. She was buried with this kid, so they think it died
gotcha.
within like a day or two.
Because I was going to say, with the 2 other kids that didn't make it, I'm like, well, but at least she
No.
Yeah.
And she was 31.
31?
Holy crap.
Yeah.
Oh, baby.
And some people criticize her poems, particularly
White dudes?
that
Sorry.
freedom one. Yeah, really. No,
Right.
people were critical of her poems, basically being like, she has one where she talks about. It's kind of like she's glad that she was brought over to Africa because now, she's no longer like a savage and knows God. Like it's weird, but
indoctrination-ness, yeah. Oh no.
I don't know. But
if it's all you know, it's all
yeah. But then it's also, she wrote that poem when she was 14.
Oh, yeah.
So this, like, that book that got published when she was 19,
Yeah.
those are, like, teenage angst
Absolutely,
poems.
yeah.
Sweet. I wouldn't want any of my
Right,
teenage
yeah,
poetry
right.
published.
Absolutely.
Oh, no.
A little harsh, maybe.
Yeah.
Just a little harsh.
Mhm.
About everybody I knew.
And some people also criticize her not writing enough, like, against slavery.
Well, she writes.
Yeah.
I mean,
But like I said about the other poem I talked about earlier, I think there's like
Yeah.
a second meaning
right
there that
Yeah.
was hidden well enough for the wealthy white people she hung out with
right
to not really question it.
Be like, ooh, that's really great.
But people later on used her poems when they were it's left my mind what that's called. The thing that was happening at the same time is like the suffrage movement.
Abolition.
Yeah,
Yes.
the abolitionist movement.
Gotcha,
They
yes.
were like, because people were like, oh, you shouldn't let black people vote because they're not intelligent enough.
Oh, but here's this
And then they
beautiful
were showing
poetess.
this poetry.
Gotcha.
And they're like, a
I
black
mean,
woman wrote this.
A black
Cool.
girl wrote this at
Yeah.
14 or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Interesting.
It's kind of cringy. Like,
Right.
But I always like to include her in founding mother kind of stuff.
Because it's right around that time of the country's forming and the revolution and powerful friends.
And I tried to look up kind of what happened. I found one article online. It was like an interview of what happened to her husband
Yeah.
after she died because
In
he
the debtor's
had all
prison.
her stuff.
He wasn't sent to Savannah by any chance, was he? Because Savannah was a debtor's prison at one point. I lived there, and it was a leper colony, and then it was a debtor's prison.
Such a lovely
Savannah's
heritage.
amazing.
But they were making it sound like he still lived for like another 16 years,
Oh,
and they
gotcha.
don't really kind of know. Like, I'm sure somebody in genealogy can figure out
Right.
what happened to him, where he went,
Yeah.
all that. But he would have had any kind of her poems.
Right. Yeah.
And some
exactly.
stuff was published after she died.
Okay. Gotcha.
But not a whole.
So
well, I
there's
think
more
there
than just the one book when she was 19.
There was the one book when she
little-
was 19, and she put stuff out that was in, like...
Magazines and stuff.
Yeah, kind of like
Okay.
newspaper things that she would somehow get, like, paid for, I think.
Gotcha.
Individually. And I think I don't remember if that second book ever got published or not.
Gotcha.
Because that guy had it.
Right.
And he was in debtor's prison. You would think that he would want that sold
Yeah.
so he could make money off of it.
Right, exactly. But it's probably finding a publisher and finding that
Yeah,
little
he probably-
thing.
He didn't probably understand what he had
Mm-hmm.
or the worth
Yeah,
of
very
what he
true.
had. So
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
we have like 50 some of her poems.
it's good
nice. There you go.
though. Good.
Sweet. Was anybody have any questions for Bonbon? I like how Bonnie always has this nervous look, like, please don't ask me any questions.
No, it's just
quiz
the
time.
whole weird thing of like,
Yeah.
she's my daughter's slave. It's just, it's awkward and
like,
weird.
do you hear yourself?
Like some people were like, oh, well, she was one of the, I feel like some people try to make the argument for slavery of like, well, not all slaves were treated bad.
Okay.
Like you're owning another person.
Right, exactly. Yeah. No, the answer you're looking for is yes. That was bad. Sweet. Well, do you want me to wrap it up for us?
Sure.
Oh my goodness gracious. Well, that wraps us up for this week. Join us next week as our next gal pal shares another cool woman of history. Thanks for listening.
For show notes, links, and images from this week's show, visit galsguide.org. Want exclusive stuff like deleted bits and major bloopers? Become a Gals Guide patron today. Thanks for listening.